Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
Hello and welcome to episode 56 of the Football Retro Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny, and today I've got Fatty and Ak. No Adasi. How you doing, guys? How you doing, Fatty?
Full table today.
No,
Johnny?
not a full table.
Fuck, not full table. Well, I don't know what that says about Adasi, but no, it's good to be back. It's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Haven't had a chance to spin shit. It's been more than a couple of weeks. I think Akram, since he hosted that episode,
You got the sack.
had to take a leave of absence for fucking stress leave or something.
No, we did an episode after that, mate. But, you know, I'm not surprised with your memory. Anyway, yeah, I'm back. Spatty's had, what, 2 full episodes to talk his shit unchallenged? Not today, mate.
So obviously Adasi's not here. Adasi didn't want to come. Didn't want to
Don't
say
interrupt, Fatty. Don't interrupt. Sorry, Johnny. Sorry.
Adasi didn't want to see us. He just didn't like us.
I think
forgive him for
Adasi
tonight.
realized that Akram coming back for his first episode in a few weeks would be a baptism of fire. He wouldn't get a word in. Akram jumping around everyone into, you know what? I'm just going to step.
100%. Like, if you don't mind, I've got a list of stuff that you guys have said in the last few episodes that I just need to cover because I tell you, Fatty, man, there's 50 for you.
Do you know what it is? It's because of the Benzema situation. Adasi didn't want to face the truth. He knew it was going to be questioned. He kisses the Benzema photo next to the Paris photo that he's got.
So pretty much what we've established is that Benzema's a rapist.
In other words, isn't that right, Ak?
Well, Darcy was very angry when he heard the verdict. I thought that he wanted to come on today so he could send another message to FIFA. But unfortunately not.
He'll defend himself next week, I'm sure. And
100%.
his boyfriend. His Benzema boyfriend.
I got to say, though, Johnny, man, even though I missed the last couple of episodes, you guys have been doing some really good episodes the last couple of them.
They've been fun. They've been
really, really strong, man.
Yeah, the Ante-Kovic
one
was really
the Ante-Kovic one was probably one of the best episodes we as a group have ever done. And, like, you guys should be so proud of yourselves. Sorry, Paddy, so you're interrupting my speech? All right, off you go.
You're saying we. You weren't there.
As a group? I'm not taking credit as a group, asshole. But it was one of the best episodes you guys have done. I thought that was, like, really, really definitely a milestone in, the 50-plus episodes we've done. What episode is this? Johnny, did you say
56.
Today? Because 56 episodes. So after 56 episodes, I think that's, like, definitely a standout for you guys and for us as a whole group. And, I just want to say, like, some of the things that Ante-Kovic was saying as a guest and then some of the things you guys were pivoting off of was, like, really good stuff. In fact, Ante-Kovic had made a comment about his coach and whether when he was coming aboard, whether he was going to come in just for the pay or he was actually going to be committed and, uphold some of those values of hard work and work ethic and et cetera. And I specifically remember, it's ironic now because Fatty's already pissed me off, but Fatty pivoted from that and said how important it was that the team uphold the values that, the region kind of holds strong and that Western Sydney, kind of value and it's from that demographic. And I remember specifically, I stopped the video and I said that was a point to pivot off that you could have found on SBS, on ESPN, on Fox Sports, on Optus Sport. And I thought it was a really strong and salient point. Strange coming from our friend over here, Johnny, but it was a really, really fantastic point. And I thought, wow, this episode, if you guys out there who have not watched the episode, if you haven't had a chance and you just happen to catch this one, when you get time, go back and watch it. It was a really great episode, especially for someone who isn't all in the know for the Western Sydney Wanderers.
That was a good analysis.
Wow. Firstly, I'm surprised that you watched the episode, so at least now I know that, undoubtedly you did. Secondly, I'll take that backhanded compliment as a compliment.
On that note, I want to jump onto the topic today because it's a big one as well. It's a fun one and a happy one for me. because this morning we woke up with the anticipation of who's going to win the Ballon d'Or. Is Messi going to get his 7th? Is Lewandowski going to get it and make up for last year, the one that he missed out on? Is Benzema, after raping little kids or whatever he's done lately, going to come out and become a Ballon d'Or winner?
Dude, fake news, man. Fucking hell.
Sorry, it's not CNN. I apologize. Jorginho is self-proclaimed should have won the Ballon d'Or himself.
His campaign didn't work.
I personally believe Kante is better than him, or was better than him last 12 months. But we'll get into that in a second. But yes, after the ceremony, we find out Messi did win the 7th Ballon d'Or, to the much liking of some people and much disgust of others in the football world who believed that Lewandowski got robbed. What are your first thoughts? What are your initial thoughts after you saw Messi holding his 7th Ballon d'Or?
How do you go first, man? Because, you know, people are more interested in what I'm going to say. So let's build up the anticipation.
This guy is fucking back for 5 minutes and talking shit. Well, contrary to what Johnny said, I didn't wake up in anticipation to see who won the Ballon d'Or. I didn't care. I just thought I'll find out later. When I saw it was Messi, I was like, really? I really thought Lewandowski would get it. In saying that, once I hear something like this or see something like this, I like to do a bit of research myself. So I went on and did some research, and everything that I seemed to find statistically seemed to vindicate Messi winning the Ballon d'Or. Everyone was talking about Lewandowski. Yes, he had an amazing one, and I think the reason Lewandowski, people were saying that he got robbed, was because they didn't give one, you know, during the height of the pandemic, let's call it. So Lewandowski didn't get one when he would have got one. So people felt he should have received this one to sort of make up for that, but the statistics say otherwise. So they feel that he got robbed. Now, I don't think that's Messi's fault. I think they still should have granted Ballon d'Or last season, and they did it. So I think that falls on the governing body, unfortunately. So to answer the question, or to summarize, I should say, was I surprised? Initially, yes. But after the fact, when I did a bit of research, it made sense.
Ak?
For me, like Fatty, I really wasn't that interested. My only anticipation was to see your reaction on it, Johnny, because if Messi was going to win, you'd be happy. But if Messi lost, it would have been hilarious to see you groan and whinge tonight.
100%.
100%. But I'm not surprised. I think he does deserve to win it. I don't like the idea that Lewandowski should have won it purely for 2020. You know, in the history of award shows, we've seen when people who've won it as some kind of lifetime achievement award, it doesn't historically really age well. Al Pacino won the Best Actor award for Sensible Woman, and you know, not for any of the movies that he's actually known for, like fucking The Godfather. So anyway, everyone kind of lambasts that over the years. No one ever really wants someone to win because of prior accomplishments. Messi deserved to win it because he was the best player in the year. That's it. The stats support it, and the milestones support it. He was the best player in Copa America, and they won Copa America. While he didn't win for La Liga or Champions League or anything like that, always whenever you have major international tournaments, it always throws out what clubs do. From a media perspective, it is the most persuasive thing is what we do in the international tournaments. Euros and Copa America and World Cup are very influential in stuff like this. So that's why, and as you saw, Jorginho, who was in the top 5 ranking, he got it because of that Euro performance. It's very persuasive. It's very influential. So I was totally happy with Messi getting it. Lewandowski coming second is fair. I think that's fair enough. It's unfortunate for him that for some weird reason they cancelled last year's awards. I thought that was kind of random and kind of weird. And that was definitely the year he should have won it. So I thought it was fair. I wasn't surprised.
Considering there was football, considering there was football and every tournament was played, the Champions League was played, most of the leagues in Europe completed the season, they should have given the Ballon d'Or away.
I mean,
2020.
generally, I would say, as Akram said, when there's an international tournament, that sort of takes precedence, or that it gives someone a bit more of an edge. So automatically, it eliminates players, like a Lewandowski, who, let's be realistic, he wouldn't do much with Poland in the Euros. But 2020 really should have gone to him. There was no international tournament based on the pandemic. It would have been a shoo-in comfortably.
Yeah.
There would have been nobody close to him. Messi and Ronaldo weren't really firing. Obviously, Barcelona was going through the trouble it was going through, and Ronaldo was, on his way out of Juve. So, I mean, that's that. But a couple of questions here. So when you think about it, I read this somewhere and it made sense to me. And just to summarize, so if Messi had never won the Ballon d'Or before, would you be saying that he deserves it more or not? So if he had never won it and then he came here, you'd say, yeah, he deserves it. Are people just saying that because he's already won it 6 times? Is that part of the issue?
That's the argument. That's the argument that I'm getting from other people.
Okay.
Oh, it's Messi again. It's not. It's Messi, but it's Messi again. So you may be right.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be right. To be honest, I didn't find it very persuasive. If this was the first year he was to ever win it, or the 15th year that he was to ever win it, that doesn't really change my opinion too much in it.
Okay. Another one. If a new player came through, or a young player, or like an Mbappe or something like that, young breakout just come through and had the same stats that Messi had for the year, would you be saying he deserves to win Ballon d'Or? Of course you would. There's no doubt about that. So the point is, people are saying, "Oh, it's boring. It's boring." So you're letting being bored cloud fair judgment.
Yeah.
And Akram's mentioned this. Sorry, Akram's mentioned this a few times in regards to, and I think you have as well, Fatty, that Cristiano and Messi have accustomed us to a certain level and standard in what to expect out of them and what to expect out of a player now. That is a hat trick. Oh, it's a hat trick. It's the standard now, and I think we're going to appreciate this a lot more, like you're saying, once in 10 years' time when there is no constant standouts like these guys. But you're 100%. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I totally understand where you're coming from in terms of they've set the standard to a point that their average is exceedingly high for other players, which are freakishly high. But for them, when it's just an average season of statistics, it tends to diminish the luster around that year for them. My thing and my struggle has always been what have they accomplished within that previous 12 months? Because if you just go by stats, then you're never going to let another defender ever get the Ballon d'Or. You're never going to let a goalkeeper get the Ballon d'Or. And like you said off air, Johnny, that if we were just going by goals and assists, all right, Lewandowski, he scored more goals. But then it's the Golden Boot. For me, Messi, with the context of the situation, the pressure he was under to finally win a major international trophy, the way he performed, it wasn't just that they won it. He was clearing away the best player in the tournament from an outrageous perspective statistically. So in this context, in this particular year, the statistics as well as the accomplishments really fall in line really well. First international trophy with all that media pressure and all that buzz, and at the same time, top goal scorer, top assists, several other key statistics that he won in Copa America. Honestly, what players have done in the league, yes, it should have some merit, some input there, but it's nothing that anyone's done in the last 12 months have been as persuasive as what he did in that one competition. To me, it was the most persuasive and influential thing heading into the Ballon d'Or.
Not in the competition, but don't forget he helped Argentina qualify for the World Cup.
Sorry, John, you cut out.
I'm saying that not only in the competition itself, but
true, 100%.
Argentina qualified for the World Cup with 4 or 5 games to go, and he was a massive figure in that. But it's funny because before it was, he gets the Ballon d'Or, but he couldn't do it for Argentina. He learned this for Barcelona because it's cut. I'm back.
Okay. Guys, all right, recording stopped and now it's back in progress. We cut to a commercial.
Your lighting
As I was saying,
you look like a tomato, Johnny. Your lighting's gone off.
yeah, I know. I took it off to connect the internet. As I was saying,
Stone Ages.
before people were saying that, yeah, he can do it for Barcelona, but he can't do it for Argentina. So he doesn't deserve the Ballon d'Or. Now they're saying, I can do it for Argentina, but he didn't do it for Barcelona. He doesn't deserve the Ballon d'Or. I don't know. Like, I think on this, I'm surprised that the three of us are on the same page when it comes to this Ballon d'Or and Messi winning it. To be honest,
Really, well, we all kind of predicted months ago in the episode that we did on the Ballon d'Or. The three of us all predicted that Messi would win it. Darcy, who's conspicuously absent today, was the only one that said Jorginho would have won it.
That's why he's sick.
Okay.
And let's go through the list. Actually, let's talk about the list itself. There's a few little surprises here, I thought. Number 10, Donnarumma.
Yeah, so Donnarumma, I think, should have been a little higher on the list because when you look at statistics and club and country achievement, AC Milan came second, first time in the Champions League for almost a decade, and he was an essential figure. He was the best goalkeeper in Serie A. He was one of the best goalkeepers in Europe, and he was outstanding for Italy in the Euro competition. So I thought 10th was a little down. I think the only reason he came 10th is because he's a goalkeeper, which always irritates me. I think he should have been top 5 or 6.
And I want to stop the countdown there because I want to go now. Because I want to jump into goalkeepers now because the goalkeeper had their own award, and we all know that Donnarumma won the award. Once again, opinion. I think someone like Oblak is more of a standout than Donnarumma.
What?
I don't know.
Shocking.
Do you seriously think Donnarumma is the best goalkeeper in the world right now?
Yes.
I think the fact that you touched on players winning an international tournament, the fact that he's won Euros with Italy gives him that edge. That's it. You've got to take that into account. You can't avoid it because he was big for Italy in that tournament with the penalty shootouts as well that they came up in. So unless you can go down to nitty gritty statistics, surely winning an international tournament gives you a bit of an edge. If it doesn't, then something's wrong. So
Amy Martinez is all the way 6th. Should have been higher then, according to your theory.
Yeah, he should have.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, one doesn't invalidate the other. One mistake doesn't mean we should create another. Like Oblak should have been there, I think, as well. Who came second again?
Mendy from Chelsea.
So that's a funny one because I don't agree either, Fatty. Look at this. This is strange.
Wait. Fatty, why don't you agree?
I have a personal opinion against African goalkeepers and South American goalkeepers. I personally think they're shit. I haven't come across standout African or South American goalkeepers. They're very few and far between. Once every decade, you'll get one that stands out and you think, what a great goalkeeper, yes. And if you look back and think at all the great goalkeepers, I would love to do an episode where we actually look and say, these are the greatest goalkeepers of all time. Tell me how many out of 50 or 30, for example, are African or South American keepers.
You get a couple of Brazilians in the mix now. You got Alisson, you got Edison that are doing really well. I can think of 2 if you're thinking 70s and 90s. But
yeah, Asian goalkeepers are also shit.
Not Australian. It's one thing.
Asian.
Well, we're competing the Asian qualifiers.
We're technically a continent. We're not Asian. We're not part of Asia. We are for football. I don't know why, but we don't fall under Asia. So, yeah. So African, South American, and Asian goalkeepers.
So if you're black, you're automatically a shit keeper, according to you.
Have you watched Mendy play this year?
I have watched Mendy play.
And you're just not convinced?
No, I'm not convinced.
Seriously?
I'm not convinced.
He had an amazing season.
No. I think his team makes him look better than what he is.
Nah, he's pulled off some amazing saves.
So after the podcast, Johnny, we'll just have some statistics to throw out.
Forget
Add him
statistics.
on the
Like just
WhatsApp.
watching the highlights, it's like, is that a really good year, Mendy?
That's why it's called a highlight, because that's the only thing you see.
He's a goalkeeper. What do you want him to do? Dribble past players? That's
I
another
don't
thing
agree.
about the Ballon d'Or. Their voting deadline is October 31st.
Okay.
So that means you've got 10 months, and this last 2 months, obviously November and December, don't even take it into consideration, which is a bit strange in itself.
Well, not really December. We haven't hit December yet, so.
and the award's been given already.
It is a little strange, but I mean, so the way I look at it is because no one cares about the beginning of the season; they care about how the season ends.
So you're judging more on the first half of the year, you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. And then whatever happens in the summer.
All right, can you guys guess the top 5 goalkeepers? So we said Donnarumma first, Mendy second. Who's third?
Oblak?
Yep, Oblak's third. Who's fourth?
Neuer.
Third, fourth, and fifth won their respective leagues. Neuer's fifth. So fourth, who would it be?
What's his face?
What's his- Ter Stegen.
Courtois.
No. Nah.
That's
They
what
won
they won the
their leagues. Navas.
No. Navas didn't win the league. PSG didn't win the league.
That's true.
Another thing.
No, nothing. No.
He's ninth, actually.
Let me return the thing to you. Won their respective leagues. You didn't apply that to your own fucking answer, did you?
The Manchester City goalkeeper, Edison.
Oh.
But yes, I agree. Like, I want to see the goalkeepers and defenders and defensive mids rate higher in this Ballon d'Or list, and be rewarded, not just the goal scorers or the goal assists or the creative players, but a bit of a mix, the same way that Cannavaro won it back in 2006.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like at the same time, like for me, I think it's the players that come after Donnarumma and the 9th, 8th, and 7th place. While they had great seasons, they're not particularly very persuasive on what they did in the past year. That suggests that they should be ranked ahead of Donnarumma.
So number 9th is Mbappe.
Yeah, see, and that's one that specifically I was thinking. I was like, for him to be ranked ahead of Donnarumma suggests that there is just a bias against goalkeepers. Because while he had a great season by Mbappe standards and by anybody's standards, PSG failed to win their league, which a league that's normally lauded for its inequality. And he was disappointing in Euro as well.
I don't think it's against goalkeepers. I think it's too much in favor of goal scorers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. I don't agree with Mbappe there. Akram said it right. If PSG couldn't fucking win the league, then he should automatically be removed from the top 10. That's it. And obviously France was fucking disappointing. The quality that they had at that Euro, they should have comfortably made the final. Coming in as world champions, they struggled. So and he personally was disappointing Euro. We touched on this in the Euro wrap up, I think, episode.
Yeah.
He was personally disappointing. But to see him in the top 10 was surprising.
Number 8 was one of my favorites, De Bruyne. So
Yeah.
De Bruyne, I agree. Quality player. I just feel like he's not as explosive as what he was, and I don't know if that's because his role's changed a little bit in the team. He's got more of a leadership role, so he's not as free to do what he wants to do. But I don't know. He's still a quality player.
Yeah, he is. It's hard to really argue against De Bruyne because we all know how special he is. And Belgium didn't have a bad Euro, and he certainly played pretty well throughout the tournament. It wasn't disastrous by any stretch, especially unlike something like France's campaign. So it is hard to argue against his.
Mo Salah in at 7th.
Wow. See, so that's the thing, Johnny. Is like you said, did you say October 31st or such was the deadline?
Yes.
So Salah's started this new season off amazingly. However, if you do not consider this part of the year, then I think seventh is even a little kind, because last year it was a fairly good season by of course. It was perfectly good, even great. Liverpool certainly didn't live up to their recent expectations that they've recently managed to start attaining. And so I was a bit surprised that he was higher than some of these other players, like De Bruyne or like Donnarumma.
If the voting was to close December 31st and Mo Salah continues the form that he's on now, I think he would have been a lot higher in the list.
Agreed.
And if he continues his form on to next year, he'll be a clear favourite for the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo in a sixth. So at Juventus, I think he was top scorer in Serie A. Is that right?
That's correct. 29 goals.
So he still had a pretty good season with Juventus. Obviously, there's talks of, I don't know if you would call them change room bust-ups or change room discomfort. A few players have made comments after him leaving, things were better in the change room. Interesting enough, there's an Amazon Prime All or Nothing on Juventus. I watched the first 1 or 2 episodes and love him or hate him. His winning mentality, his competitiveness, it's just contagious, and you'd want him in your change room every single time. If other players are not up to his standard, he gets angry, and understandably, it's that mentality that you want in the change room all the time. Now, what other factors were there that didn't show in the documentary? I don't know. But as a player, as a winner, as a captain, as a leader, not a leader in motivation, but leader as in he motivates himself so much that you want to get up to his standard. I don't think he's great at motivating his peers. I don't think he's a great leader in that sense. I think he's a great leader by showing by example. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it does, yeah. Sorry, Fatty?
Sorry, just throwing a little fucking jab.
No, look, it does make a lot of sense, Johnny. Despite his personal good season for Juventus didn't have a good season altogether. They barely scraped into 4th place. They were on a nice edge all the way to the very last game of the season. And so you certainly think, all right, you've had a great personal year. For me, this is my trouble with, especially when you zero in and we only focus on what you contribute in terms of goals and assists, because from your overall play that you provide in the team, and the fact that your team didn't actually come that high, like I said, barely scraped in 4th. How valuable are those 29 goals? Like, yeah, they're, like I said, personally, yeah, he was racking up the goals, but obviously not against some of the bigger clubs, not in the most decisive ties. We all know that a lot of the big leagues do come down to the matches against your competitive equals, your AC Milans or your Inter Milans in this context. So for me, I was like, you know what, fairly good season, nothing to write home about. However, having said that, he was a top goal scorer for Euro, and he did have quite a decisive performance there throughout the competition.
Do you think the Portugal missing out on direct qualification would have hurt him? Well, that was after the deadline anyway.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it would have hurt him. And rightfully so. We've spoken a lot about Ronaldo and what he brings to a team, and personally, the kind of player that he is. So it's justified that he's there. I thought he may have been slightly higher, but upon reflection, I don't think it's too inaccurate.
Did you read the director of Football Friends and his comments about Cristiano's only career goal is to get more Ballon d'Ors than Messi? I know this because he told me himself. And then Cristiano was forced to sort of come out today and say he's a liar. I don't know why he's lying like this. Sort of.
Yeah, I read that. So he came out and said that it's a lie, that I always congratulate whoever wins, blah, blah, blah. So technically, he didn't really answer the question. He didn't respond to the rumor directly because, he was saying that it's about what was said rather than what his intention is. So who knows? Always going to be some rumor like that. I recall a couple of seasons back where they were sitting together Ronaldo and Messi, and they were speaking about. Someone asked a question about them having dinner together or something, and they said, "Yeah, we will at some point." I wouldn't be surprised if that happens sort of post-career.
Yeah.
You know, when the competitiveness sort of dies down, and arguably the two greatest players of our generation will sort of sit down and have a little reminiscing dinner, reminisce about how they conquered world football for a solid decade and a half.
We talk, and I was saying this today earlier during the day. I don't think in our lifetime we'll see someone win 7 Ballon d'Ors. I think it's a massive achievement. But forget Messi. I don't think we'll see anyone win 5 Ballon d'Ors as well. They're both massive achievements. The scary thing is, what would have happened if one of them didn't exist? So if there was no Cristiano, Messi would have won like 10 Ballon d'Ors. And if there's no Messi, Cristiano would have had a couple more as well. It's scary to even think that. But yeah, in our lifetime, I don't think anyone will get close, to be honest.
You think? You know what? I'm inclined to disagree a little. It's not so much that I think it will happen as much as I think that I can definitely see it happen. And that's only because as we progress, we see, you know, club football is getting more and more unequal by every year. You know, soon we're going to bloody see things like Super League come into fruition at one point or another. It's a matter of when, not if. And all it takes is your top goal scorer. The way fans and the media seems to report on this, it does become more and more about the top goal scorer of the year kind of arguments. So I could see a great goal scorer in the vein of a Lewandowski, that style of player, that top goal scorer. In the absence of another one or two truly elite players, I could see someone definitely racking up. I feel like the Ballon d'Or has become almost, I don't want to use the word devalued, but it's certainly become more top goal scorer, top offensive player of the year, what their team has been able to achieve, what they've been able to push their team to achieve has become less important as in comparison to stats. So, you know, you just need a Lewandowski and Mbappe style player to just be the clear favorite, the clear top player every year. And I think they'll just keep giving it to the person who keeps scoring the most.
Fair point.
I don't agree. I don't think we're ever going to see it ever again. Ever. And funny you mentioned that Super League, because I'm inclined to think that Super League players won't be eligible for Ballon d'Or.
Oh, yeah, true. That's a good point there.
Well, it's not a FIFA award anymore, so you never know.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be a real confusing kind of time for football in the next 10 to 15 years. It's really going to change. We all know that. But no, the reason I think so, Fatty, is not so much that someone is going to equal the feats that Lionel Messi is capable of achieving and that he has achieved in his career, but more that fact that the Ballon d'Or seems to go to the top offensive player every year, regardless of what they actually have done. So as we go across, and that's the problem, is that how do you argue against a player as talented as Lionel Messi or as talented as Cristiano Ronaldo? But at the same time, that doesn't mean that players like that are going to be around maybe never, right? So then in 5 to 10 years' time, whoever's the top couple of players, if the way we are persuaded to give this award is purely by goals, purely by the stats, then it's not inconceivable that you have a player capable of scoring, in terms of the Golden Boot every year, or 7 out of his 15-year career or whatever it may be.
Yeah, to do it as consistency as these two guys will be a little bit hard. Let's get into the top 5 now. Number 5 is one of my favorites, personal favorites anyway, which is Kante. And I've said it, I've been saying it for a while now. I remember having conversations in May when we were recording the podcast about if you were to give the Ballon d'Or right now, and I kept on saying Kante. And I think Italy's win of the Euro sort of made Jorginho's case bigger.
Mm-hmm.
For me, in my personal opinion, head-to-head, Jorginho and Kante, I will take Kante for the amount of work he does and the impact he has on the field. He's a quite achiever, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but number 5, Kante. What do you think of that?
I think that's fair. He did have a great season. Aside from the Euros, obviously France flopped, for lack of a better term. But he is a great all-round player. Yes, goes about his business without a fuss. You don't hear much about him. He's not in the limelight. I think what hurt Jorginho as well, and we mentioned this, was he was a bit self-righteous. He thought that he was entitled for it because he had such a great year, and obviously won the Euro with Italy. Not to mention, I think fucking bit him in the ass this in the Man United game with his fucking little faggot touch. Yeah, last defender, and you're trying to control that ball. Like, come on. I looked at him like, yeah, you don't deserve shit. And I saw that.
Look, that was way
sure.
up past the voting deadline anyway. But
Yeah.
even things like Champions League final, Kante was man of the match. Euros final, Jorginho missed a decisive penalty. In the qualifiers, once again, past the deadline, but in the qualifiers, if Jorginho scored a penalty against Switzerland, Italy will be the World Cup right now. It's a completely different story. I know the penalties, anything can happen.
Two penalties.
Once again, I know it's a penalty and anything can happen. Maradona's missed a lot of penalties in his career. So, but still, you can't. Yeah, I think what hurt him as well, Fatty, is the arrogance of him saying I should win the Ballon d'Or because I've won so much. I won everything I played for, and blah blah blah.
But let me ask you something. So you're talking about, you mentioned penalties there. For example, the Man United game, and I'm only referring to this because I'm trying to show the bias that exists or the hysteria that exists when it comes to commentators, for example, or pundits or whatever you want to call them. That when there's a preconceived idea that, oh, this player's good, they'll never talk shit about him. So he fucked up for United's first goal, but when he scores the penalty, oh, amazing penalty. He's redeemed himself. He's pulled his team out of the ashes. Come on. He hasn't redeemed shit. Because if he doesn't fuck up, you're up 1-0. You're not losing. You're not fucking drawing the game. That's firstly. But they put on these rose-colored glasses that he can do no wrong. Even when he fucks up, they have to find immediately a positive to then say, oh, look how good he was. Right? Okay.
It's because the media wants to build up one or two players that they feel that the momentum is with. So then they want to actually create a certain thing about that player.
And correct. And that back to your point in terms of the influence that the media would have, or pundits would have, or they'll frequently talk about a player a lot, and hype them up. It happens a lot in England with English players. They'll overtalk these players. Sancho, they talked him up forever.
Yeah, 100%.
Flop didn't do shit.
And he's been flopping hard, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he scores that goal against Chelsea. What do they say? Oh, tactical genius by Eric to drop Ronaldo and Sancho to get a start. And that's exactly what Sancho needed. He's proven his quality, this and that. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they need to, it's finding a needle in a haystack to then justify everything that you've been saying.
But that's the media. The media wants to find an angle, and they either want to build a player up, or they want to not exactly necessarily tear him down, because commentators are pretty fair when it comes to that. They're not really trash a player. However, other parts of the media or other types of media definitely do like to kick a player when they're down. And that's the nature. Whenever there's a story, they chase after, whether it's positive or negative. And I think sometimes with media being so influential, especially today in our society, it tends to then have fans. There tend to be a backlash that's created against those players. Jorginho is one of them. Ronaldo and Messi have been recipients of that backlash, because they just get tired of the media shoving that player down everyone's throats. Ronaldo has had a lot of backlash based on the fact that he's been such a media darling for like 15 years. So yeah, like I totally get what you're saying. With the Ballon d'Or 5th place ranking, Johnny, you said that you think Kante is the better player, right?
If I took a head-to-head between Jorginho and Kante, personally, in my opinion, I prefer Kante.
Yeah, 100%. My point though is that I think people shouldn't choose Jorginho if we're talking about who's a better player. Who's a better player? Luka Modric or Lionel Messi. But at the same time, Luka Modric did win it into the 2018, and I think he deserved it, right? Mm-hmm. We think Robert Lewandowski deserved it last year, but we still would say overall Messi's a better player. For this year, what makes it difficult for Jorginho in the case for him is the fact that his role as that deep line playmaker it's not a role that gets too much plaudits. It's not a role that creates too much hard statistics that you can use. He doesn't score many goals. He doesn't create many assists. But I think that when you watch the games and when you certainly watch Euro, it's hard to argue that he wasn't really influential for Italy and for Chelsea. Was Kante the better player for Chelsea? Yeah, I think so. But I don't think by as much as what people are saying. I think it's funny that you describe Kante as a quiet achiever because I think his type of game on the field is much more explosive than Jorginho's. I think it lends itself to the eye and it's easier for fans to recognize than someone like Jorginho. I've had many people in the last week who've argued against Jorginho and has described him as all he does is pass side to side, which is an asinine comment to make. Anyone who thinks that a player like Jorginho, that's all he does is a ridiculous thing and doesn't know anything about football. So for me, like I think it is harder to create a valid opinion when it comes to players like that, which is a challenge against him. And like you guys said, certainly it doesn't help his case that he actually, put his own hand up and said, yeah, I do agree. That definitely hurt his case. As far as being ahead of Kante in the rankings, I think that was fair because of Euro. I think it was essential for Italy. And like we talked about, I think France underwhelmed.
Fair enough. On that note, let's go to number 4, Benzema. So he had a big year for Madrid, right, Ak?
He certainly had a big year. I believe he won the Pichichi, the top goal scorer of the season. I think it was a funny one because, look, the context behind Real Madrid, which has been definitely the descriptor of a falling apart club, club really in the middle of a build. They don't know which way to go. We did not know what we were going to get out of players like Vinicius or Rodrigo in this new upcoming season.
Sorry, stop. Messi won it.
Oh, he did win it. So, where did Benzema come? Did he come second? Did he come third? He was definitely top goal scorer for Real Madrid.
Yeah, he was, but Messi won the last 5.
Okay, man. We didn't care about the last 4, man. The point is, those that with Real Madrid in the middle of this kind of rebuild, and they're not sure which way they're going to go in terms of leaning for which player of that, he's been very important leading the line. He's been essential. Still, I find it quite interesting that he was ahead of Kante. He was ahead of De Bruyne. I think he was. I don't know. It's hard for me to justify him being ahead of Donnarumma. Like I said, he was fantastic. I think in this exercise, it goes back to what Fadi was talking about regarding media, because Benzema has played this figure of a certain level of sympathy after Ronaldo left, and all of a sudden he started scoring goals. Everyone started crying, that's why he can't. That's why he wasn't scoring. That Ronaldo has taken up all the chances. Now he's got his moment in the sun, a moment to spread his wings, and look at him fly. So now we're going to give him some votes. When in reality, as good as he was, you just said he wasn't top goal scorer for La Liga. They didn't win anything in League or Champions League. They were knocked down in the semi-final to Chelsea, and his return to the international stage for France in Euro 2020, 2021, or whatever you're going to call it, was also underwhelming, and it was coincided with an underwhelming French team. So I don't know about that. I like Benzema a lot, love Benzema. But I think, Kante should have been ahead of him. I think Donnarumma and De Bruyne should have been ahead of him.
Wow.
Wow.
You went from Donnarumma being possibly 5th or 6th to now 3rd.
Pretty much. No, not 3rd, but he should have been 6th. He went from 10th, but I think.
So he's saying Benzema should be lower. That's what he's saying, Fadi.
Yeah, but what Fadi's saying, Johnny, if we're all going to interpret for each other, is that I'm saying Donnarumma went from 10th to being as high as 3rd. And I don't think it's as high as 3rd, but maybe 5th or 6th. I think you have Messi, Lewandowski, Jorginho, Kante, De Bruyne, Donnarumma.
Interesting.
That's 6th. Okay. I'll check in with you before the end of the episode again. Might change.
Crazy.
And then we got the top 2, obviously Lewandowski and Lionel Messi. Yeah, I think them two deserve to be there. Lewandowski,
Yeah.
we've been talking about it, and obviously Messi, the amazing stats and performances he's had all year. I also liked, on a side note, I liked that during the speech, Messi put France football on the spot, and he said something along the lines of, "It's a pleasure and an honor to compete with you, Robert, and you should have your Ballon D'Or at home for last year. Everyone knows that you would have won the Ballon D'Or last year, and the French football should give you one because you deserve to have one at home with you." So we'll see if French football listen to Messi and
I still don't understand. I still don't understand the reason why it wasn't given. I understand some leagues finished up early, shut down early, but I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. There was still football played, as you said. So why are you discrediting those achievements?
Not only was football played, but I think the two major leagues that didn't finish off their seasons was the Eredivisie, the Dutch league, and the French.
Yeah.
So it's like realistically, who's going to get the Ballon d'Or from the Dutch league? Like,
I'm pretty sure the Eredivisie shut down first, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And then it was Liga, and then after that, everyone started saying, "Oh no, Premier League's going to stop, and everything's going to stop, and whatever, blah blah," and then everything was played, and did how it did. But
because we were all praying and hoping that Liverpool won't win the title. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
They won the title with an asterisk. So.
Look, on that note, putting the Ballon d'Or aside, I wanted to go back to Fadi. I was watching Arsenal highlights the other day. They've obviously started winning some points, started playing better. That's up to you to form your opinion. But definitely winning more games compared to the first 5 or 6 games of the season. He did mention that if Arsenal continue to go along this way, Arteta will be gone by Christmas. Now, with the change of scenario, with I don't know, is Arsenal 5th or 6th now? 6th or 7th, maybe.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on Arteta? Is he going to stay? Is it a long-term thing? Are you liking the way Arsenal are going? What changed compared to the first handful of games? What do you say?
Look, Arteta was always their thing for a long-term project. Now, it obviously didn't start off well. He didn't put his stamp on the team. But what I said was he needed to, after the first 3 games, which were 3 losses, I said something along the lines of he needs to get 15 points out of the next 10 games or something like that, which isn't too much to ask.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously achieved that, so I definitely think he's safe. They're not going to get rid of him based on the results that he's done. Now, what I believe has changed because they're a very young squad. What he's trying to do is implement a style. Now, he hasn't changed the style when he's faced bigger teams just to pick up points. For example, when you go to Man City or you're going to Liverpool or whatever it is, you're going to change. The smaller teams or the teams that aren't going to match them physically and quality-wise are going to change tactics. He didn't change tactics from what I saw. He continued to play with the same philosophy and said, you know what, this is how we're going to play, regardless of the result. And that's what he did in the first 3 games. Obviously, it didn't work out well for him. But now you see that they're getting the results against the lesser teams. So the players seem to be buying in to that philosophy or to that concept that he wants to play because the majority of the players are very young. Probably we're one of the youngest squads in the league. So what's important is that they've bought into that philosophy. How long that's going to continue for, I don't know. Are they going to be able to maintain, bar the top 3 teams, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool? If Arsenal continue to pick up majority of the points, then they could comfortably make a Europa spot. Is it going to continue? I don't know. He has given the players some belief that the philosophy, that the style, that what he's trying to implement is working. And they're buying into that. So they're playing with a little bit more hunger, a little more desire, a little more excitement. They look like they're actually wanting to be there. They're trying. The young players are sort of stepping up. They're all very young. the problem that Arsenal has the last, decade is that we fail to hold on to big players. Or even if we have good players coming through, as soon as they start to hit their peak, they get poached by the bigger teams because the player wants to go and take that next step of their career. They want to win trophies, they want to do this, and they know that where they are at the moment, it's not going to happen. So really the task for Arteta is how much he can convince these players that this is a long-term project and to keep them there for a long term. If you can manage to keep the majority of the crop together for the next 3 to 5 years, I think we're going to see a real challenge in that time frame. But if he doesn't, and there's a lot of chopping and changing because he's just trying to fill in gaps, it's not going to happen. You're going to be constantly refreshing and restarting every year. And it doesn't matter how good the manager is, it's going to be very, very hard because you're not going to have a spine or a structure in the team to work off.
It all depends on results as well, like you said. Results will give him time. Results will give him...
Look, it does, but if that was the case, they would have gotten rid of him early. Now, I knew that they looked at Arteta as a long-term project. Very young manager, former player. They've already been with Emery and then chopped him out. So they couldn't afford to bring someone else in and get rid of him. Regardless of how the results were going to go early on, they were going to give him some time. But if it did go for so long, you're 4 months into the season and you're in the bottom half of the table, you're going to have to be there because then the fans are going to be calling for your head. And we saw that. They did it with Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger, the greatest servant of the club, when the fans turned and got the shits, the pressure was too much and he had to leave.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Look, I remember, episodes ago, you were referring to Arsenal as like, a top seventh place team, there or whereabouts. Right now, they're coming fifth. I think, what he's done so far this season is pretty commendable. And you do have a fairly young squad, and I certainly would like to see him stay in the position for a little while longer to see what he can do. Having said that, I think, whenever you decide to get rid of a manager or to keep a manager, you are playing a game of risk because you're not sure what's out there in the market. And at the same time, and you're not sure what you're going to get, but at the same time, you're going to miss opportunities for other managers that currently don't have a club. So I could see it going both ways at the end of the season. I could see him, hitting sixth place at the end of the season with fans relatively happy, and the club still decided to go a different way, only because it is that game of risk where, do you miss out on this opportunity or that? But at the same time, regardless, I think he's been pretty commendable. I think that they got to see long term though. Where are you going to get your goals from? Because Aubameyang, I don't know what's his long term future going to look like for them, or Lacazette. But I think
Lacazette looks like he's on his way out. A lot of rumours there that he's going to move. Obviously, he's not first choice anymore.
Yeah.
Arteta doesn't seem to prefer the two strikers up top. So generally he plays with the one, and then he's got a lot of the wingers creating that bit of freedom, and Smith Rowe as a number 10, pushing forward. He's scoring a lot of goals with those late runs into the box or the edge of the box and just having a shot. So he doesn't prefer the second striker. Lacazette hasn't been preferenced. He hasn't started many games. So I don't know. Everything that I'm reading is that he's not going to be around.
Yeah, exactly. And so it does look like the future of your club is going to be built around those young players. And I mean, I always really enjoy when a club is doing that, but it's such a risky thing, and you never know what the transfer market's going to flesh out. If Smith Rowe or other players keep progressing and producing, at what point does a Man City or a Chelsea decide to come and throw them a bunch of money?
And this is the risk. I mean, on the flip side, these are Arsenal youth products. So they've come through the youth system at Arsenal. They're Arsenal fans, but money talks, trophies talk.
Yeah.
It's very hard when a Man City comes and says, "Hey, come across." We saw that with Grealish. He's an Aston Villa boy and all that sort of shit. But when the riches of Man City and the lucrative, attraction of Champions League football and the possibility of winning the league and winning the Champions League and all that sort of stuff is thrown at you, as a player, of course you're going to look at that. You're going to consider it. You're not going to say, oh, well, I love this club sort of thing. We've discussed this numerous times. I think that side of it's dead. Doesn't matter how loyal you are, how much of a fan you are. If you've got an opportunity elsewhere to sort of achieve something, because we know careers are short, then they're going to go and do it.
Yeah.
We'll see what the next few weeks or months hold for Arsenal. On that note, guys, we're back, and we're back again next week. Ak, any last words before you go?
No, guys. I mean, hopefully everyone's liking and subscribing to the channel. Please share it around with your friends. Like I said at the beginning, if you didn't get a chance to watch the episode with Ante Kovic, I really, really think everyone would enjoy it. It's a great watch. Gets you to understand a bit about Western Sydney Wanderers and the sporting achievements that the club achieved with him at the club and throughout that time period. And yeah, glad to be back. Missed you, boys.
We didn't miss you.
Thanks for the reciprocity, Paddy. Yeah, that was nice, man.
All right, guys.
You're lucky I didn't say anything worse.
All right. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bring Darcy back.
Please. Bye.